How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Master Beer Reviews. Back with another review. A little barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stoutiness. A little bit of vanilla going on. Maybe a bit big vanilla. Maybe little. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. Hold your fucking horses. In the form of Funky Buddha Brewing, it is their Living Barrel series. It's their Nikolai Vorlauf. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. Anyway. This Funky Buddha, it's been a while since I've done a couple Funky Buddha beers. Did quite a few, and just haven't had it for a while. You know, we're in Florida. We don't get distro up here. Sans maybe one or two of their base offerings, but I was lucky enough to have their first two Living Barrel series find themselves in my lap. The brewery sent them to me. Thank you very much, guys. And the first one was a coconut and pineapple cream ale, Imperial aged in rum barrels, and this is aged in bourbon barrels with vanilla added. So I love me some Russian Imperial stouts. I love me some bourbon barrels if they're done right. And vanilla, if anybody's going to be screwing with adjuncts, I kind of said this in the previous review because I did the cream ale first. You know, when it comes to adjuncts, I think Funky Buddha is one of the better ones when it comes to kind of slicing and dicing that shit up. So hopefully this one shows improves as far as what it says on the label, which is quite a bit different from what they usually do, and we'll talk about that in a second. It says the Living Barrel series, vanilla bourbon aged Nikolai Vorlauf. Kind of want to say that might be an astronaut. It sounds very familiar. I'm not quite sure whose name that is. I'll have to look it up afterwards. And Imperial Stout aged in barrels with vanilla beans added. Funky Buddha. This is 10% alcohol by volume. On the side here, we have like a spiraling growth of a tree's branches. So are these beers transformed over time, thanks to maturation exclusively in oak, wine, and spirit casks. Unlike the ageless timber, this bottle is only available for a limited time. That be that. Label-wise, I dig it. Big departure from what Funky Buddha typically does. It seems like this is almost like a little bit of a rebranding. Talked about this in a previous video. I won't get too deep into it, but it seems like it's a little bit of rebranding, kind of getting away from the cartoonish style of a lot of their labels, which I dig, and getting a little bit more kind of classy or something like that, but I dig it. I said in the previous one, it's kind of like if the brewery and Wicked Weed kind of had a baby. That's kind of how the label comes off to me. So yeah, let's crack this open, see what she's got. So bourbon, vanilla, Russian Imperial Stout. Russian Imperial Stout can be taken a couple different ways. There's some people that like them super bitter, very hop forward. I kind of like it more traditional, like your, you know, Courages and Black Alberts of the world, but we'll see what happens here. Pinky Finger, malted malt ball colored head, maybe a little bit darker than that, and she'd be dark. She is a stout. Faux show, you know what I mean? Like big, dark, nice creamy head on her. She is playing the part pretty sexy like so far. Yeah, I'm weird. Anyway, see if we can get a nose on her. That doesn't suck. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. That is, if you took a Whopper. You know the Whoppers? If you don't know your Whoppers, then fuck. I'm not talking about the hamburger. I'm talking about the malted malt ball. If you, like, bored a hole in it, and then threw them in some bourbon, but not hot bourbon, like bourbon, reduced bourbon, and then squirted a little bit of marshmallow fluff inside there. That's kind of what I'm getting right here. Yeah, I'm getting bourbon. Not hot in any way, form, or fashion. It's coming off very, not sweet. The fluff is coming off sweet. It's not even that sweet. It's more of kind of like a stripped away alcohol burn kind of bourbon. Then you get that marshmallow fluff. Very big. It's not even vanilla to me. It's marshmallow fluff. But there's this Russian Imperial Stout bitterness, but not hot bitterness. It's bitterness kind of in the wings, kind of floating around the edges of that fluff, kind of reining it in and keeping from getting it out of control. Yeah, that's big, robust. It's sweet. It's sweet from the fluff. I believe it's sweet from the bourbon. But again, it's got this kind of this funky Buddha sweetness to it, that where it's sweet, but it's not gonna come off like disgustingly cloying. That's their trick. That's their little fucking snake oil thing they do. I don't know how they do it, but from Last Snow to all the other beers that I do with these amazing kind of flavors that most people fucking butcher, they just know how to do it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Gonna dive in this sucker. See what she's got. Cheers. That's delicious. The fluff definitely comes off a little bit more vanilla in the mouth. Definitely more vanilla. And I have a hard time with vanilla, so some people might see this vanilla a little bit too big. But for me, it works. This bourbon is amazing. Because what happens is, you go to take a sip. All on the edges of my mouth, I get this kind of alcohol evaporation thing going on with bourbon, which leads me to kind of be like, oh, here comes the heat. It never even comes. It doesn't even like inch or get even close to getting hot, but it feels like it's going to. There's this like evaporation here. Like, okay, I'm gonna swallow this, and it's gonna kind of burn and be a little bit uncomfortable. No, it just doesn't happen. So you get that burst of vanilla. You get that bourbon that you think is going to take off. Goes nowhere. It's tasty. Taste-wise, it goes everywhere. Heat-wise, it goes nowhere. And you get the soft, slightly bittered from the roasted malt. Not from hops. Kind of stoutiness. That washes in kind of... They all kind of blend together towards the end. But it's not bitter. It's not bitter by any means, but there's enough bitterness, that's what I should say, to kind of balance off a little bit of that sweetness to keep it from going to kind of diabetes realm. Even though it's probably still diabetes realm. Nose is great. Beer itself is pretty delicious. I do think this could use a couple weeks, if not a month or two, to get a little cohesive. They are a little bit separated, but still absolutely delicious. I'm trying to pick points here. I'm trying to nitpick a little bit. Easy drinking, 10% weight, well hidden, even though you feel like you're going to get a bit of a pop from that bourbon, bit of spirit. Not much, if anything, as far as barrel. A little bit of dryness there from the oak, but not much to really even speak of. And it's very funky Buddha-ish, and that's the thing, and that's not a bad thing. They work with that vanilla really well. Like I said, it might be a little bit over the top for some people, but it works for me. But it's a nice take. It's not this typical kind of just muddled Imperial Stout that's just been thrown out of barrel. There's kind of an elevated, how do I put it? I've always liked their labels, cartoon-wise, because there was a brightness to their beers. I don't want to say cartoonishness to the actual beer itself, but it had like a kind of vibrance to it with the flavors that they're working with. And this beer is no different, and it's a good thing. It's always been a calling card for them. I understand the want to go to the label that is not as cartoony and a little bit more kind of serious, but it's still funky Buddha thrown through, let's put it that way. Yeah, tasty, delicious. Vanilla is big, and yeah, does not suck. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better bourbon barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stouts that I've had, or barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stouts. It's in the conversation. There's kings of kings for me when it comes to Russian Imperial Stout, but it's definitely but it's definitely not top. But it's in that kind of running portion of the show. Value and availability: $20 a bottle, brewery only. Kind of sucks because you have to be in Florida. And just say if you like what we like this. If you like vanilla, because the vanilla does come off pretty big. If you like your beers sweet but not overly sweet. And if you like Funky Buddha, because, I mean, I know that's kind of like using the word in definition when it comes to describing a beer, but, you know, it definitely tastes like a Funky Buddha beer. The beer, which is, the beer solid as fuck, but the adjuncts used are kind of, contrast is dialed up. Everything's dialed to 11 on those adjuncts, but they work. They're not just over the top. They tend to be a bit more vibrant than what other people get out of their adjuncts. So yeah, if you like Funky Buddha beers, then you definitely enjoy this one. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Right down there. Words and stuff if you didn't. Somewhere in between. Social media. Massive Beers. All one word. All the platforms you can find me at. So I post a lot of more shit than I do on here. So go over there. Check me out. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice Funky Buddha beer right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.